As the eyes of the world turn to astonishing discoveries around the planet, one revelation in particular is sending chills, even to the most skeptical. While scientists from New Zealand celebrated the identification of unknown species at the bottom of the ocean, a much more sinister mystery was emerging from the dry depths of one of the Earth's oldest and most sacred rivers, the Euphrates. Before we begin, pause for a moment. What would you do if you discovered that prophecies written thousands of years ago are coming true now, right before your eyes? In recent months, the bed of the Euphrates River has revealed secrets that challenge history, science, and even logic. Strange sounds, hidden creatures, inexplicable structures, and discoveries that match, word for word, with ancient sacred texts. Coincidence or confirmation? The retreat of the waters revealed more than mere archaeological traces. Buried under centuries of mud and silence, a colossal skeleton began to emerge. Initially mistaken for the remains of an extinct marine reptile, the details soon defied any conventional explanation. Unusual curvature of the spine, gigantic bone structure, and markings that do not fit any known record of modern biology. But it was the resemblance to ancient legends that put everyone on alert. Fossilized scales, deformed fangs, and a bone pattern reminiscent of the dragons described in ancient mythologies. Would we be facing a literal relic of myths? Or is this find warning us about something much greater? Ancient cultures saw these creatures as symbols of chaos, harbingers of destruction, or sentinels of forbidden knowledge. In religious texts, dragons and giant serpents are not just metaphors. They are omens. And the Euphrates River, since time immemorial, has been cited as a stage for revelations and judgments. But the skeleton wasn't the only thing to emerge. Local residents began to report something even more alarming: unusual movements in the waters and a shadow dragging beneath the surface. Powerful ripples, subterranean roars, and an oppressive feeling take over the region. Witnesses claim that something lives there, something that should never have been awakened. Could this creature be the Leviathan itself? The beast of the depths described in the book of Job, and in prophecies about the end times? And if the Euphrates River is indeed revealing the forgotten seals of the prophecy, what will come next? Among the dry sands and cracked mud banks, archaeologists came across a strange object, a small jewel of ancient appearance, carved from black stone and studded with unknown symbols. Its shape resembled that of a reptile's eye, and the irregular glow seemed to react to the evening light. Those who examined it more closely reported an inexplicable feeling of unease, as if they were being watched. Some scholars speculate that it might be an ancient amulet, used in rituals thousands of years ago, perhaps even linked to some lost worship of creatures like Leviathan itself. Others, however, go further, suggesting that it might be a seal, perhaps a key, linked to what still sleeps beneath the waters. As the Euphrates continues to dry up, more relics are emerging: doors carved into rock, tunnels leading to nowhere, chambers sealed by millennia-old blocks, all enveloped in inscriptions that remain indecipherable. And on some of these walls, primitive depictions of winged serpents, sea creatures, and monstrous faces suggest that what is coming may have been sealed for reasons humanity has forgotten. The most disturbing thing is that many of these locations have started emitting sounds, low-frequency noises that vibrate in the air and ground. Scientific instruments have detected the sound anomalies, but they have not been able to pinpoint them accurately. It's as if something beneath the earth is moving. Residents of the nearby villages began to report vivid dreams, all with similar themes: turbulent waters, golden eyes watching from the darkness, and voices whispering ancient names. Names they had never heard before, but that they repeat in their dreams, as if they were long-forgotten memories. In the book of Job, chapter 41, there is a description that few dare to interpret literally. Can you fish for Leviathan with a hook or tie down its tongue with a rope? Will you put a rope in its nose or pierce its jaw with a hook? These words seem to belong to the realm of symbolism, but what if they are not just metaphors? This creature, shrouded in impenetrable scales, with an impossible-to-tame strength and a fiery breath, has been considered a symbol of chaos for centuries. But what if, in the face of what is emerging in the Euphrates River, we are about to witness that Leviathan is more than just a myth? The prophet Isaiah, in chapter 27, prophesied something equally enigmatic. In that day, the Lord will punish with his fierce and great and mighty sword Leviathan the fleeing serpent, Leviathan the twisting serpent, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea. This raises a haunting question. What if Leviathan is not just a single entity, but rather a manifestation that emerges during periods of great turmoil? The dry bed of the Euphrates is revealing not only forgotten ruins and ancient tombs, but also something that seems to challenge human understanding itself. Remnants of a colossal creature and bone structures that many believe to be the remains of a giant serpent, or something even older. Meanwhile, not far away, on the banks of the Jordan River, archaeologists were astonished to discover mummified crocodiles in perfect condition. Bodies preserved by time, some with intact jaws, suggest ancient rituals of veneration or sacrifice. Among the fossils was an extinct species known as Conrosus serenus, a predator that, according to experts, would have hunted even dinosaurs almost 100 million years ago. But it wasn't just fossils that emerged from the sediments of time. During an excursion along the banks of the Euphrates, a group of tourists experienced moments of pure terror upon encountering a terrifyingly large anaconda, asleep among the reeds. After provoking it, the creature rose, revealing its gigantic body, with its belly visibly inflated. The tension spread like a wave across the boat, and the silence that preceded its movement was only broken by the muffled screams of the tourists as it slid back into the water. Would these be random manifestations of nature, or signs that something is stirring in the depths of creation? In Genesis 3, the serpent represents cunning and the fall of man. In Acts 28, Paul faces vipers and survives unscathed. And now, in the 21st century, the snakes seem to be making a comeback, not as symbolic figures, but as real physical presences. And the most disturbing? Not all the finds in the Euphrates are enormous. Some, small and discreet, carry with them mysteries as ancient as human history itself. Among the dry banks of the once majestic Euphrates River, a group of explorers was scouring the riverbed in search of historical relics when they came across something unexpected. Partially submerged in hardened mud, an enigmatic figure lay, a small doll with primitive features, disproportionate eyes, and a haunting expression carved from dark wood. The first reaction was one of confusion. Could it be an old toy or something much more disturbing? As they observed it, a discomfort took over the group. The marks on the piece, the unusual shape of the head, and the aged material seemed more aligned with artifacts used in forbidden rituals than with everyday objects. The suspicion was confirmed among some local residents, who associated the item with occult practices and ancestral rituals of spiritual invocation. Deuteronomy 18 verses 9 to 14 clearly warns, divination, necromancy, and spells are detestable in the eyes of the Lord. But what was that doll really? A forgotten symbol of an ancient civilization, or a hidden warning of the darkness that may be awakening beneath the receding waters? A few days after this find, another discovery left the researchers even more perplexed. Scattered along the dry mud, fragments of human jaws, ribs, and even parts of fossilized skin began to emerge. At first, it was thought to be recent victims, until the analyses revealed a dark past. They were bodies buried there since the 19th century, prisoners and the sick abandoned to the currents of the Euphrates. Further on, something even more impressive, almost intact remains of a prehistoric mammoth, with an estimated dating of over 11,000 years. And just a few kilometers away, bone by bone, the carcass of a mastodon emerged, a giant that roamed the earth long before modern records. Next to one of these skeletons, the archaeologists found a stone blade with a sharp edge, a primitive weapon, proof that these titans of nature may not have fallen due to natural causes, but at the hands of the first human hunters. And if the scriptures had already spoken of these beasts? In Job 40, God presents Behemoth as a work of his hands, a beast that moves with power and majesty. Are we perhaps facing evidence that brings biblical accounts closer to archaeological reality? The waters of the Euphrates continue to recede, and with them emerge ancient secrets, some fascinating, others dark, and all pointing to something greater than any of us can comprehend. In the book of Job, chapter 40, a colossal entity is described with impressive details. Strength in its loins, muscles that resemble intertwined cords, bones like bronze tubes, and a tail compared to a cedar. Many believe that this being was just a metaphor, perhaps a symbol of divine power. But what if this being was real? And if the remains of this creature still exist, waiting beneath the earth, by the river with centuries of secrets? As the bed of the Euphrates River continues to recede, ancient secrets are coming to light. Discoveries that not only challenge archaeological knowledge, but also make those who know the biblical prophecies tremble. The Bible states in Revelation that the Euphrates would dry up as one of the final signs. Now, with the riverbanks receding, unimaginable revelations are emerging. Among them, the most disturbing find: archaeologists claim to have found the bones of a human, but not just any human, an enormous skeleton with proportions that do not fit modern human anatomy. Enormous jaw, elongated skull, and arms of unusual length. Could this be the remnant of the Nephilim, the giants mentioned in Genesis 6 verse 4? According to this passage, the Nephilim walked among men in ancient times, descendants of celestial beings and human women. They were called heroes of antiquity, men of renown. And if what is emerging from the Euphrates is not just an echo of legend, but a physical proof that these beings existed, the location of the discovery couldn't be more symbolic. Revelation 9 verse 14 mentions 4 angels imprisoned by the Euphrates, waiting for the moment to be released. And now, amidst the global chaos, with disasters, wars, and a growing sense of collapse, these signs appear. Could this skeleton be another piece of a prophetic puzzle that is about to be completed, or just the beginning of something yet to be revealed? Before proceeding, if you believe in the importance of uncovering hidden truths and forgotten mysteries, consider supporting this investigation with a super chat. Your contribution helps us continue unearthing what has been buried for centuries. Thank you for walking with us on this quest. But now, imagine the following. What if the Nephilim, those mysterious beings described in the scriptures, were not just destroyed, but sealed beneath the earth? More precisely, beneath the very bed of the Euphrates? This hypothesis, considered by many theorists and scholars of ancient texts, is beginning to gain traction. The book of Jude, verse 6, speaks about angels who abandoned their original position and were chained in darkness until the day of judgment. If this passage is linked to the Nephilim, then the retreat of the waters of the Euphrates could be more than an environmental phenomenon. It could be the activation of a millennial seal. The nature of the Nephilim has always been shrouded in ambiguity. Genesis 6 verse 4 presents them as descendants of the sons of God and daughters of men, beings of great power and stature. In Numbers 13:33, the spies sent to the Promised Land report having seen giants so terrifying that they felt like grasshoppers in their presence. But what makes this moment especially disturbing are the recent reports coming from the region. As the Euphrates recedes, entrances to previously hidden underground caves are emerging. Ancient tunnels, corridors carved into the rock, and deep chambers. But it's not just the architecture that catches the eye. Local residents have started reporting sounds that cannot be explained, muffled screams, guttural moans, metallic vibrations coming from underground. One of the most unsettling accounts speaks of a man who, while walking near a newly exposed opening, heard something that paralyzed him with fear. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't an echo. It was something different, something that seemed alive. These phenomena coincide with what many believe to be the location of a supernatural prison, a chamber sealed for ages, harboring entities that perhaps were destined to awaken only when humanity forgot its own limits. Could these discoveries be more than mere coincidences? Could we be witnessing signs predicted millennia ago, now manifesting before our eyes? The truth is that what is emerging from the depths of the Euphrates not only challenges archaeology, but threatens to redefine what we know about faith, history, and the supernatural. And with every meter of river that recedes, the question becomes even more urgent. What else is still hidden beneath these sacred waters, waiting to be exposed? Stay with us. What we have revealed so far is just the surface. Listen carefully. Can you hear that deep, prolonged, almost muffled sound? Is it a lament of the earth? A call from an ancestral entity? Or is there a natural explanation? In 1999, researchers captured something similar in the depths of the Pacific Ocean. A noise so enigmatic that they named it Julia. No, it wasn't a woman, but a terrifying underwater sound. However, what we are hearing now has no relation to that phenomenon. The Euphrates is thousands of kilometers away from where Julia was registered. So where does it come from? Some suggest a curious hypothesis. What if these sounds come from creatures like the pink freshwater dolphins? Known for their unusual tone and extraordinary intelligence, these mammals are native to the Amazon, not the Middle East. However, there are scientists who consider the existence of an uncatalogued species, adapted to the conditions of the rivers in the Middle East. Could it be possible? Climate change, forced displacement of wildlife, and alterations in river courses caused by dams and irrigation may have pushed unusual animals into previously unthinkable habitats. Nature reacts, and sometimes that reaction sounds like a scream. But there's more. The Old Testament repeatedly mentions an animal called takhash, translated by some as a type of unknown marine or terrestrial creature. Its skin was used in sacred objects. What was this creature? A cetacean? A hybrid being? Or something lost in the timeline? If the creatures mentioned in the scriptures really existed, could they be connected to these sounds that now echo through the newly opened caves of the Euphrates? Maybe we are not just hearing inexplicable noises, but witnessing the awakening of ancient echoes. Some scholars suggest that the tashash, mentioned in the scriptures, was a marine mammal, perhaps a type of dolphin or coastal creature. Others believe it was an extinct terrestrial animal, preserved only in the symbolic memories of Hebrew tradition. In Ezekiel 16 verse 10, God speaks about Jerusalem, depicted as his beloved, being adorned with precious garments and sandals made of refined leather, possibly from this mysterious creature. I dressed you in embroidered clothes and fine leather sandals. I wrapped you in pure linen, and covered you with delicate fabric. But what was that material really? The Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, offers another interpretation, but the mystery remains. Would it be yet another fragment of ancestral knowledge that has been lost over the centuries? In the ancient world, the use of marine animal skins was not uncommon. Dolphins and porpoises of the Mediterranean are frequently mentioned in historical records, and some claim that their skins were used for sacred objects. If true, this reveals the degree of reverence that ancient cultures had for these creatures, not just as fauna, but as symbols of power, purity, or even divine mediation. The Euphrates, more than a river, a prophetic seal. The Euphrates has never been just a watercourse. Since ancient times, it has held a symbolic place in the most enigmatic prophecies of the Bible. Today, its visible emptiness not only exposes rocks, ruins, and bones, it paves the way for a much older fear. According to ancient beliefs, the depths of the Euphrates served as a spiritual prison, a place where fallen entities, corrupted angels, demons, or unspeakable forces were chained by divine order. And this idea does not come from obscure legends. It is directly recorded in the Apocalypse. Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. Revelation 9 verse 14. These 4 beings, prepared for the exact day, would have the mission to destroy 1/3 of humanity when released. A number that seems symbolic, but which, in light of current global events, sounds less and less figurative. Would we be close to the moment when the chains break? Demons, fallen angels, and the appointed time,